Hello to you all in Faribault from Würzburg. My name is Caroline, I'm a tour guide here and I'd like to show you the wonderful highlights of Würzburg today on a virtual tour. So we're here on the Old Mine Bridge and you can see in the background the fortress on the hill where there used to be a Celtic settlement 3,000 years ago. The fortress that wasn't built until the early 13th century. It was the residence of the Prince Bishop for many hundreds of years. On the other side, you can see the Kapelle. This is a little pilgrimage church which was built around the 1600s and later turned into a Baroque, maybe you say Baroque, church by Balthasar Neumann, a renowned architect here in Würzburg in the 18th century. This Old Mine Bridge has become very popular in the last few years here in Würzburg, not just among the locals but also among the tourists. This is the place to come to and have a glass of good Franconian wine and enjoy the views of the fortress, the pilgrimage church and the vineyards. One of the longest vineyards in Germany we have. The Upper Market Square here in Würzburg is a very lively spot. You can see plenty of people. Cafes are open, people can sit out, enjoy a coffee. We also have the farmers here, regional farmers who have their products on sale every day here. And when you look behind me, you can see a very large church. This is St. Mary's Chapel. You wouldn't think it would be called a chapel, but it is. Yes, St. Mary's Chapel is a late Gothic church built by the people for the people, against the bishop's wishes. And it is really a sign of their strive for independence, where the bishop is concerned. Many symbols of the bishop's power can be seen in Würzburg, and we'll go now and take a look at his major achievement. We've come now as far as the Cathedral of St. Kilian here in Würzburg. This cathedral had many predecessors, but the one you can actually see here, its foundation stone was laid in 1040. So we're talking about almost 1,000 years, St. Kilian's Cathedral here in Würzburg. So it went through many architectural periods. World War II came, it was completely burned out. Almost completely. Parts of the old Baroque architecture, you might say Baroque architecture, remained. At the back we have the Gothic windows. However, the reconstruction of the cathedral was very controversial at the time after World War II. It was decided that they would keep anything which had survived and build basically new on top. Very controversial at the time. The fortress you saw up on the hill, where the Prince Bishop lived many hundreds of years in the 1700s. He tired of it. I think it got too old-fashioned for him. He wanted a modern building. I say he wanted to keep up with the Joneses. And who were they? The French kings. He built his residence palace here in the middle of the city of Würzburg. Now we're up here on the outskirts of Würzburg. As you can see, the fortress of Würzburg is in the distance, the city in between, and we're in the area of Würzburg where the garden show was held 2 years ago. However, this area is more well known for the presence of the Americans after World War II. At the end of World War II, the 1st Infantry Division was here. We had the Leighton Barracks. It was one of the barracks of the 4 barracks that were here set up by the military forces. And in 1949, the Commander-in-Chief's wife, Mrs. Bibi, she actually was very worried about the disastrous situation for the families, particularly the women and the children in Würzburg, and she requested humanitarian aid from Faribault. In fact, on a personal level, she wrote a letter to her friend, who again spoke to her friends in Faribault, and this is the beginning of long-term relations with the city of Faribault and the city of Würzburg. Within a couple of months, over 500 care packages were sent to Würzburg with food, with clothes, with lots of support for the people. And Faribault was really the very first international connection Würzburg had after World War II. With the view of the runway here that once was, I'd like to leave you and thank you very much for having enjoyed, I hope, our virtual tour today, and I do hope that you will come in person to Würzburg one day and I'll have the pleasure of showing you the highlights in Würzburg. Thank you.
Nous serons heureux de vous revoir à Würzburg.
We are looking so much forward to meet you again in Würzburg.
Wir freuen uns, in Würzburg wiederzusehen.